open for some more questions.
Thank you, Martin. That was particularly at cyber part super interesting. Also got a lot out of the difference between liability and indemnity, and of course that rather alarming part about having contents insurance as well for the umbrella in the eye situation. Again, a loss of eyes. It seems to be common for you. There's a couple of people that have just let me know that they'll watch the end of the recording but had to jump off. So no questions from the audience, and I'm just cognizant that we have now taken over an hour of your time.
Yes. And I also don't have any notes to my cheat sheet notes, and I did that rapidly this afternoon.
Oh, they're amazing, those questions. Yeah. I think maybe just the one question I was particularly interested in is what is the most common mistake you see from small and medium businesses when it comes to insurance?
Look, well, I'll answer the sort of two components, because you answered, there were two sort of separate questions but related. In my humble opinion, top of the list is developing a more mature in-house risk culture before you even get to insurance. I have a deep interest in that, and I in the experience that I've had in the industry, it's becoming clear to me that rates are going up everywhere, insurance becoming so expensive, and underwriters becoming much more discerning. Better to start developing some risk management protocols. And by the way, might just add my experience in setting up a public not-for-profit farmers mutual fund. We had a lot of cotton insurers that were the best farmers in Australia. They were saying, we're not interested in claiming for a cracked windscreen, right? We're just not interested in that. We want, so the whole idea was to set up a group, like the IPA members setting up a separate captive. But that's a long way down the track. But in concept, the idea that I'm trying to say is like-minded individuals that want to set up best practice as a group to manage their business, to reduce the cost of insurance by reducing the propensity to claim as a result of increased awareness of risk and knowledge and understanding of how to assess and recognize those risks, and looking at their station in life, the maturity of the business. Is it a startup? What's the size of your balance sheet? And saying, what can I or can't I accommodate as a risk? Talk in terms of, setting high excesses and the retentions, and working through the broker that can guide you through all of that, and if you're not find a broker that can talk you through and work with the broker. That takes me to the second half of your question, and it is businesses that phone us up, small business, larger business, and engaging with the broker in a manner that affords greater engagement and respect for the insurance process, the contracts, and what it can do for you, both downside and upside. Because if you want to buy cheap insurance, or if your instruction to your broker is find the cheapest policy, you'll get the cheapest cover. And if I may just use an example, when I was running the farm portfolio at Allianz, we had a horse riding claim, a 16-year-old schoolgirl on a small little hobby farm owned by a trucking contractor whose main business was trucking and just had some acreage and a horse. And a 16-year-old schoolgirl had a horse riding accident on his farm. She's a tetraplegic. She's lying, may still well be now, or now she'll probably be out of hospital by now, being fed by a tube. I broke my neck when I was, young, and I know what my parents went through, and that was a huge impact on me. So I set about straight away changing the farm pack policy to cater better for that. The point of the whole discussion is, when I say suffered, I mean I had to go through the process of working with legal counsel, trying to through arbitration to get some cover for this family, for this poor girl. There was zero cover. And the reason for that was because this trucking guy told an agent to find the cheapest cover because the bank wants cover for his mortgage. And I wonder what goes through his head when you think of that family and that 16-year-old schoolgirl lying as a tetraplegic. I'm sorry getting a bit emotional, but I'm just trying to say, when you treat insurance in that fashion, something bad could happen to you. So the biggest thing I think mistakes farmers make is not giving your insurance and the person you're dealing with and the advice you're getting the engagement that it requires, that it warrants.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Well, thank you. That is a good tip, because it's often a really long phone call, right, with your insurance agents, and they ask questions you don't always know the answer to. So I can see why you'd fall into that trap. But your story is very
poignant.
Very, very poignant indeed. And indeed, your entire presentation. I know there'll be a few people watching this online, and if they want to reach out to you, Martin, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, I guess the best way is, well, I'm on LinkedIn and OmniSure. There's a lot of, it's just I think that ESG in an ag definition, that's you can look me up on OmniSure, and you'll see under the blog quite a lot of information. But in relation to IPA members, I think questions about product liability, but I do hope that the kernel, the essence of the difference between professional indemnity, product liability, public liability, and knowing that the third-party covers are what are going to put an end to your business.
Yeah.
Everyone can handle a motor car, one of your utes getting taken out, but if on your farm, the next door neighbors ask if their 21-year-old son can have a bucks and spinsters and bucks party on your smaller holding, and those kids are having a party at 12 a.m. and one of the guys drives a forklift into the shed, and this is another life policy, stands on the forks, which has got fruit in a box, and raises him up 15 foot into the air, and he falls off and breaks his neck, another tetraplegic in the farm pack policy. You're going to have problems, right? It's going to put you right out of business if you don't have appropriate cover. So yeah, it's the liability side that is the most complex, and you need good advice for, and choose the right policy, and choosing the cover type under property, then the basis of settlement. You insure for $50,000. What's your expectation when the claim arises? If you've paid premium for a sum insured for $50,000, but you've insured for $12,000, you're gonna have an ugly discussion. Yeah. So anyway, it's been great. I hope it's been of benefit. And
look, I just for everyone watching later on, I just really wanted to highlight the work you put into this, and having someone with a farming background to actually take the time to present to us and really get to know what our members are doing is really valuable. So thank you for the hours and hours you put into this presentation and the research you did, and for talking to us with such a great background. So thank you very much, Martin. Thanks. And I hope we'll be in touch soon.
Thanks, Alison. Bye.
Bye.